I had a childhood that was very much immersed in the ebbs and flows of the tides. I don't think that human curiosity can help but to be drawn by the sea. For some, this leads to an urge to explore. The more I explore, the more I discover, the deeper I am pulled. The second largest fish in the world, the plankton-feeding basking shark, are reported to have once cruised these seas and were a common sight along the ocean's surface as they gently glided with large mouths wide open. Unfortunately, boats installed shark-slicing devices on their bows, and these incredible creatures were quickly removed from the ecosystem under a government-led direct eradication program in the 1950s and the 1960s, because they fed on large amounts of zooplankton and were considered a nuisance to commercial salmon fishermen. At this same time, a commercial fishery for shark livers, aggressive sports fishing, and general harassment must also have contributed to their decline. The resulting consequences to the ecosystem remain unmeasured. Although these prehistoric giants have been exterminated from the Salish Sea, there are still some of its relatives that can be found, such as the spotted dog shark, ratfish, and six-gill sharks. And so I am grabbing my scuba tanks, building deep-sea camera traps, and sending my ROV down into the deepest parts of the Salish Sea in search of these fascinating and mysterious deep-dwelling sharks. There is a world down there that most people don't even really know exists. I'm Captain Quinn, and I am setting out to chase my curiosity deep into my home waters. I will build and drop traps rigged with deep-sea lights and cameras. I will drop fishing lines, and I will deploy my submersible remote-operated vehicle equipped with lights and cameras. These tools will allow us to peer into and interact with some of the deepest, darkest parts of the Strait of Georgia in the Salish Sea, in an effort to explore, study, and document the mysteries of the deep. Once you venture beyond where you would feel comfortable snorkeling or scuba diving, you enter a place so few people have ever seen. These animals are truly bizarre. This place is harsh, foreboding, but it's also beautiful and tremendously important. This is Deep Sea BC. The animals that live in these marine environments have adapted to their surroundings over millions of years. As humans, the evolutionary process did not bring us gills. It did, however, bring us curiosity for the unknown, which has led to technological and innovative adaptations that now allow us to explore the underwater world. I got my scuba diving certification in 2000. This is an activity where it is very important to practice safety. You need to know the risks and always go with a trusted companion. Like most things, when it comes to acquiring knowledge, there is no replacement for experience. In order to learn more about the underwater world, I'm heading to meet Sunshine Coast residents Vince Burnett. Vince is a master scuba diver with a lifetime of experience and stories from beneath the surface of the ocean. He has a tremendous appreciation for aquatic environments and has probably spent more time underwater than on land.
I love the water. I love getting underwater. It's a weightless environment, and it keeps me in shape. And if I stop doing it, then chances are I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm getting older now. And I got both my kids certified when they turned 15, so I had an excuse with the wife to go scuba diving now. So I think it was last year we did probably 205 dives in 1 year. We were in the water at least 4 days a week. So scuba diving on the Sunshine Coast is one of the better places in British Columbia. Not as good as the north end of the Vancouver Island, but still it's a It's a nice place to go. It's a lot better than diving around Vancouver area. So visibility, the life, you know, and the diversity of life. There's so much different life here. So basically the limitations are, you know, you could get bent if you don't follow what you're supposed to do. Air, you use more air at depth. And then if you're diving with nitrox, depending on the mixture, your depth is limited. You get more bottom time because you're less exposure to nitrogen, but you can't go as deep because then it's called oxygen toxicity, and you can go into convulsions if you go too deep. Well, it's pretty special when you can see a wolf eel out. When you see them out swimming in the open water, it's quite an amazing thing, and especially some of the big ones that we've seen. You know, they're nervous. We got close, and then we got too close, and he started to move, and then he didn't go very far, and then we got closer, and then he just took right off. So yeah, but it was nice to see him. He was pretty big. He was specialized. He had a bunion on his chin, and so we were out when he was out and about. He was about 40 feet of water. And then we were out where all the wolf eels are, and I found his den because I knew because he had his bunion on his chin. So it's always special when a seal might come up and tug on your fins, or a sea lion will come by and buzz you, you know. So yeah, big life is pretty cool underwater. There's lots of small stuff to see too, little tiny things, grunt sculpins, and you know, decorated war bonnets and different things. And that we see all that here on the coast. But most of the time we see tons of life. And at between 40 and 80 feet, and sometimes 100, right, depending.
There is something exciting about exploring a world so foreign and beyond our natural ability to explore. It is such a vast expanse that it seems to stretch into infinity. There is no comprehensible end to exploring the deep ocean's mysteries. The animals that live in these environments have adapted to their surroundings over millions of years. In an attempt to document the sharks of the deep, we are baiting our camera trap and sending it down into a 360-meter or 1,200-foot trench in the middle of the Strait of Georgia. Our hope is to draw in ratfish, dog sharks, and/or the elusive six-gill. When dropping traps into the deep, there are many challenges. There is so much rope that tangles are inevitable.
400 plus 500 plus 300 plus 300. It's got to be a few hundred anyway. Okay.
The trap needs to land just right. The camera needs to be positioned at the right angle. The light needs to be casting a wide beam. We had to figure out how to extend the battery life as much as possible, and after finally getting everything sorted out and working properly, it was time to send it to the bottom. We let it soak for a couple of hours before retrieving it from the depths. And when reviewing the footage, it became clear that we have managed to capture some fascinating footage. One of the super interesting things that we discovered when reviewing the footage was a couple of opal squid. One of them descended on top of the camera trap and inked for whatever reason. We think it might have been attacked by something in the area, maybe a ratfish. After inking, it fell to the floor like it was dead, where it sat for a few minutes and then eventually got up and swam off. These squid are said to inhabit waters from the intertidal zone to 250 meters or 825 feet, but we observed these squid even deeper than that. Opal squid tend to mature around 1 year of age and rarely live past 2 years old. They feed on small fish, plankton, and smaller squid, and in turn are preyed upon by almost every other marine predator. After the squid vanished back to where they came from, the dog sharks appeared. They were definitely the dominant species to show up. Dog sharks are present in all of the world's temperate oceans, from the surface to 750 meters or 2,500 feet. They are long-lived and slow-growing shark. They have been harvested commercially for the last 100 years for their oil-rich liver, which was used as lamp oil or machine lubricants. Dog sharks can be found in moderate numbers throughout the Salish Sea and are very impressive creatures. They are not known for their size, but like most sharks, they help turn dead animal flesh into valuable nutrients for their marine neighbors. They are considered predators as well as scavengers. Unfortunately, our window for peering into this deep, dark, mysterious world came slamming shut when one of the seals for our light fouled. Water started finding its way into our light housing. There were a few last flickers of life, and then the light died. Totally destroyed, and the mystery of the deep returned to the ocean floor once again. It was disappointing when we discovered that our light had failed. I couldn't help but to wonder what we had missed. It was fascinating to witness the opal squid, countless krill, and dog sharks. But my search for the sixth gill had to continue. If you spend enough time fishing or trapping in these deep waters, eventually you will pull up something extremely bizarre looking, like the spotted ratfish.
It's got a very powerful crunching ability with its jaws. It feeds primarily on crabs and clams, and it actually has a venomous spike on its dorsal fin. So you got to be a little bit careful when handling these, because you could easily lose a finger or end up with a venomous spike in your flesh. So I'm going to try to get them out here for you, just to have a bit of a closer look. Jeez. Big thing is to not be too afraid. But yeah, you do not want to get your fingers in the business end of his teeth there. If you have a look, they can just easily crunch clamshells. I don't know if you've ever tried crunching a clamshell with your teeth, but it's basically like chewing on a rock. And they can just go through it, no problem. This here, spike, venomous. Its entire body is a cartilage. So it's probably an adaptation for surviving down in those really bone-crushing atmospheres. Giant eyes. Obviously, that's an adaptation to the constantly dark environment. Once you get past a couple hundred feet, it really does start to become pitch black down there. The deeper you go, the darker it goes, the further away from the sun. And all these animals adapt in their own unique kind of way for them to kind of survive in this strange and bizarre environment down deep. They are part of the ecosystem. They play a role, and they are beautiful in their own way. We're gonna let this guy go, and he's gonna go do his thing. Kind of like me, a face only a mother could love. Put your finger in there. But they're absolutely beautiful to watch kind of swim down on the ocean floor. They kind of look like they're dancing, like weird alien ballerinas down there, kind of gliding around, floating as they cruise and eat and kind of do their thing. Okay, we're gonna let him go back to his marine environment.
It is very exciting to hold a ratfish and to feel and see what they look like up close. But to observe it in its natural habitat is something entirely different. I set a course for a deep trench that I have marked on my marine charts, and as I do so, the thought of a 6-meter or 20-foot deep sea shark dominates my curiosity. I wonder where they are hiding. Scuba divers used to swim with 6-gill sharks up to 20 feet long off the south tip of Hornby Island. Sadly, these sharks have not been seen in this area for nearly 20 years. The odd fisherman reports hooking something that tows their boat around for hours, only to straighten their hooks out or finally snap their lines. Could these be clues as to this shark's whereabouts? 6-gills are slow-growing, long-lived sharks that are typically found in waters of up to 2,300 meters or 7,990 feet. Because this shark spends much of its life in deep water, little is known about their behavior and migration habits. I arrive at the spot marked on my chart and deploy my ROV with anticipation and excitement. As the ROV descends, I glance out at the vastness of the sea and can't help but to feel like I am looking for a needle in a haystack. The ROV touches down and the search begins. As our ROV cruises the ocean floor, we find an isolated piece of glass sponge. Swimming around the sponge, we find a ratfish that is missing part of her tail and is in the process of delivering an egg casing. The egg sac is leather-like and has a filament connected to it, which is used to attach it to the ocean floor when it is let go by the mother. The mother will swim around with her egg until she feels like she has found the perfect place to leave it. Development of the egg can take up to a year. It turns out that a major predator of the spotted ratfish is the 6-gill shark. I take another look at the missing tail of this ratfish and can't help but to think that we may have been closer than we realize to these giant prehistoric and mysterious sharks. But for now, they elude us and will continue to fuel an obsession inside my head. There is no way whatsoever that humans could naturally explore the ocean's depths. We simply didn't evolve that way. But our curiosity has taken us beyond our natural ability with the invention and innovative technologies by brilliant and adventurous minds. These tools allow us to learn and explore our oceans in ways never before possible. It is my hope that as we explore these wonderful places, we can discover the will to protect them. It's never a good idea to rid the planet of something that's been here a lot longer than us just because it's an inconvenience to our activities. And if a ratfish can teach us anything, perhaps it's never to judge a book by its cover. And finally, just because we sometimes can't see something doesn't mean it's not there. The deep sea can teach us many things, perhaps the most important of which is to have an open mind and an appreciation for what we don't know.